Welcome to the Unc Rye Show from beautiful Southside Muncie, Indiana. On today's show, I am going to show you how to make some fantastic lasagna. It's a fairly large undertaking, a lot of ingredients in this, but good news is it says that it feeds 8, and for me that probably means that I would eat half a pan tonight and half a pan tomorrow because I have a big appetite, but I also picked up a few pounds from all that eating too, so there is a price to be paid. For ingredients for this, wow, okay, almost too many to go over, so we'll probably talk about them as we go, but the essentials: pound of hamburger, you have to have lasagna noodles. These are pre-cooked from Aldi's, so you don't have to boil them. Some various spices. We've got Italian seasoning, got oregano. We have very important extra virgin olive oil, which can also be used to make Al Capone spaghetti, which I'm going to make a video about that because that's the best spaghetti in the world. So we got that. Got some coarse black pepper ground up, some ricotta cheese. Very important to get ricotta cheese. And most of these ingredients are at Aldi's, and they actually have a nice selection of this stuff, so I'd like to give a shout out to that. We want some diced tomatoes. We want some tomato sauce. We want garlic powder and Parmesan. And we want tomato sauce. I think I said that already. And we want a bag of parsley. And we want peppers, Parmesan. How about some mozzarella, some garlic, some onions, and a bag of sugar, but you just put in just a little bit of sugar, just like a tablespoon. So get all that together, and also while you're at it, pick up some kosher dills if you're over at Aldi's. These are the best pickles in the world, and I feel like they would go really, really nicely with a with the big plate of lasagna. So I don't know if that's the way you normally eat it, but that popped into my head as being something that sounded good. So anyways, got that, and on a nice big pan, I have an onion crumb in there. Nice big pan to cook it in. 9 by 13 is recommended. This is actually 10 by 14, but maybe we can just throw in some extra ingredients or whatever. So, with all of that, now it's time to kind of clear a spot right here on the oven. Change the camera a little bit. Start throwing some stuff in together, and start working on our delicious lasagna. So, cover the details as we go. Put the actual recipe in the comments on this one because there's a lot to it. So let's get down to business. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is open up our extra virgin olive oil. Very important to get extra virgin. That is olive oil that is completely pure, as opposed to having some additives and filler put into it. And if I could get this open, there we go. Then I'm going to take that and just put a little bit in there, nothing big. A couple of teaspoons worth is ideal. I probably went a little overboard, but it doesn't hurt anything. So get that in there. Let that circle around a bit there. And then I'm going to take my pound of ground beef right there. I'm going to toss that right in. There we go. I'm going to start getting that to cooking. Alright, I'm going to cook that over about a medium heat, and I am going to put that in. Alright, now while that's cooking up right there, starting to get heated up nice, cooking up in that olive oil. Get that chopped up a little bit, and let that continue to cook. I'm going to set that there, move it out of the way. Alright, while that's cooking, we want to go ahead and cut up our onion, our pepper, and our garlic. I showed you a white onion earlier, but actually a red onion is going to be a little more tasty, have a little more kick to it, so let's do that instead. I'm going to cut that. That all taken care of there. Get that cut. And we want to have somewhere around a half a cup of onion, but it doesn't have to be real precise. I'm going to throw this out. 1 second. This ought to be about right, and that is definitely a powerful onion. I am almost crying already. So, that's a good sign when it comes to the quality of the onion. So we got that. I'm going to cut that up like this. There. That'll be a nice oniony lasagna. I want to take just a little bit away from that. Might be just a bit much. We don't want it that oniony. Okay. So now we'll pick a bell pepper, whatever color we like. Get that again there. Okay. So bell pepper, whatever color we like. I think I'll just go with red. Alright. There we go. We want about 3/4 of that. About the whole thing, but just a little less than the whole thing. Okay. I'll set that aside. And these peppers are delicious, so can most definitely eat a big slice of that we don't use. So if we use 3/4 or so, use a big bite like that. Really, really good. And now we want our garlic. So we need 2 to 3 cloves of garlic. The recipe called for 2, but I like lots of garlic, so I might go for 3. So 1, 2, 3. Okay. Then on these right here, we will cut them at the ends and peel them real quick. I'm going to chop up that garlic a little bit. In just a couple of days, I have something coming in the mail called a cigar box guitar. And I have to build it. And it's a guitar that has 3 strings, and it's homemade, and it's built out of a cigar box. So this sounds very interesting to me. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to set that there for a second. Give this just a little more attention, I guess you might say. Then we're going to temporarily put the hamburger in a separate dish, and we are going to use this same pan to fry up our vegetables. Okay, now that hamburger is starting to cook up really well, we're going to temporarily take it out of here while we cook up some of the other ingredients so that we can have some nice tender vegetables. So I'm going to take that out of there. And then we'll leave a little bit of that in there is fine like that, but just get a lot of it out, most of it out. Then take what we have here, our onions, peppers, and garlic. Put that back in there like that. Alright, and we're going to cook that for about 4 to 5 minutes. Then we'll put the hamburger back in. Alright, that's smelling really, really, really good. Those onions are getting cooked. They're starting to get a little bit translucent. That's what we want to see. Once we get to that point, put our hamburger back in. Because what we're really making here is more or less the sauce for the lasagna, but it's much better to make it from scratch like this rather than making it, or than buying it, I should say. So making it from scratch really gives it that extra flavor. So once you get to this point, you want to go ahead and set this down to low heat, and it needs to cook for about another 3 to 4 minutes. So we'll go ahead and do a quick transition right now. Alright, now we are ready. Kind of switch things around a bit. We're going to take this delicious mixture of peppers, onions, garlic, and hamburger. We're going to dump it all into this pan. The one we used a little bit ago that was just hamburger. Now we're going to dump it all back in there again. Like that. Make sure we get everything, so make sure we don't miss any little bits of delicious garlic or anything like that. Then we're going to add in our diced tomatoes and our lost my train of thought. And our tomato sauce, and that is a bit of an undertaking because Aldi's has little tiny cans of tomato sauce. I need 32 ounces, so these are 8 ounces each, so I need 4 of these. So I will not leave the camera on for all 4 of those because that would be a bit much to watch. But anyways, do one of those and continue on with the rest. And then what we're going to do is put in our diced tomatoes. Alright, for our diced tomatoes we want 14 ounces, and on this, Aldi sells giant cans that are 28 ounces. So about half of that down to about where the D is at on this. We'll dump that in. See if I got it right. A little more. Alright, so dump those in, and I'll put in the rest of the tomato sauce, and then I will have the camera resuming momentarily. Alright, with everything added in right here, I want to take that, stir that up a little bit, and that's going to be our sauce. I'll let that warm up for a minute. Get it all mixed up real good. That is more or less spaghetti sauce. And so when that cooks up, we'll let that cook for just a few minutes, and then we will be ready to start layering stuff into the pan. But we do have a few ingredients to put in here first, so let me grab those. Okay, one thing to point out, I do need to bring that up to a simmer before I transfer it all into the pan and start layering everything in with the noodles and the cheese. So I'm going to let that come to a simmer, and I'm going to gather up some additional ingredients that we're going to put in there for some extra flavor. Okay, so now we want to add in some extra seasoning. We want to go with some oregano, some Italian seasoning, a little garlic powder, and we want to go with some delicious parsley. Well, honestly, by itself, probably not so great, but it's wonderful when you put it in there. So we're going to do about a 1/4 cup parsley. Toss that in there like that. And then we are going to go with, for our Italian seasoning, we're going to go with a tablespoon. And I am not a chef, and so I mentioned that earlier, but I think that's about a tablespoon. So why not? I don't think you can really get it wrong unless you just go with some ridiculous amount. Then we're going to switch over to our oregano, and in that case, with the oregano, we want 2 teaspoons, so something like that. 1 and 2 on that, maybe just a hair more. I like things to have a nice strong flavor. Then garlic salt, that's just kind of a sprinkle. We don't want to go overboard. A little bit like that. I do like things nice and garlicky though, that is for sure. So we do all that, and then one of the more unusual ingredients here is sugar. About that much. Not too much sugar. About like that. And that smells really, really, really good. And it's even starting to simmer. So we'll let that simmer for just a little while longer with all the ingredients mixed in there. But it certainly smells very, very good. Alright, while this is cooking, gotta eat one of these dill pickles. One of these kosher dills from Aldi's. These things are just the best. Deli kosher dills. Those are just wonderful. And they crunch really loud. Okay, that's coming along real nicely. I think we got a good thing going there. I'm going to move that off the burner and turn the burner off. Okay, now, take my word for it. I'm preheating the oven to 375, even though you can't see it. Alright, oven's preheating to 375. I'm going to set that over there and that over there. And then I'm going to bring this over here and try not to put it on the burner, because I really don't want to heat it up that much. We're going to assemble everything in here. So when we assemble everything in here and we cook it, it cooks for 45 minutes. So let's go ahead and look at doing our assembly. So the first thing we want to do when we put this together is to get a big ladle of sauce and put it on the bottom. Okay? So I'm going to grab a nice big ladle like that. I'll probably make a big mess too, but let's see. There's that. Okay. And that. There we go. And that. Okay. Get that all spread around real nice on the bottom like that. That might be a bit too much on the sauce on the bottom, but we'll go with that. We'll go with that. Alright, then after we do that, we want to grab our noodles, and I'd like to point out that most recipes call for boiling these in advance and making them al dente and then putting them on here. However, I did not do that because these say they are oven ready. So we will test that out and we will see if that's true. But it says no boiling required. So we'll take their word for it. So there's what those noodles look like. And we don't want to break them as too much. We have to break them to fit sometimes, but for the most part we don't want to break those. So we'll put down a layer of those in there like that. Okay. And kind of have the extra there at the end. I don't think this would be considered, what would we say, canon perhaps? Canon might not be the right term, but that's a term that comes to mind. We are going to take those and make them work at the end, and yes, I probably am doing something I'm not supposed to do per the official way to make lasagna, but I'm going to go with that. And then we will put more sauce over the top of these noodles, like this. Okay, so put those on there about like that. And try to spread it around just a little bit. Make sure they're covered nicely. The ones on the end, this end will be the part that I eat since the noodles are broken. But you know what? I think it'll be okay. It probably tastes fine to me. So now we want to go ahead and work with our mozzarella. Okay, the mozzarella you can have grated or slices, and so I went with mozzarella slices, and I'm going to toss those on there like that, and just get that covered real good. Lots of cheese is good. Okay, there's that. Same thing on the ends. Maybe I should get a different size pan next time. I don't know. Maybe I should cut this next time too instead of tearing it. But, you know, we won't get too picky here. It all melts together and it's all delicious when it's done. So I'm going to take a little bit more of that. Right there. Right there. And this last slice kind of like that and like that. Now it's time to move on to the ricotta cheese. I'm going to cut that. And make sure I didn't get any plastic in there, because that would be bad for my lasagna. Now I want to take and scoop ricotta cheese on top of the mixture. Okay, so it says to put dollops every couple inches. So there's some dollops there. More dollops, and we want to use about half of this container. Okay, lots of delicious cheese is always going to be a crowd pleaser. And actually, I could probably even put in a little more mozzarella, but that's alright. I think for now we'll just go with what we have. Get about half of that on there. Like that. And a little more there. Okay, that's about half. Got that taken care of. Then we're going to take our Parmesan. We're going to sprinkle about half of this on top of what we have right there. Grated Parmesan is even better, but I did not have any place I could find grated, so I just went with regular old, I guess, shredded Parmesan. So we can work with that, but not strictly canon, as they say. So there's that. Now we are going to move on to a second layer of the noodles on top here. So let's go ahead and start stacking our noodles on top. There we go, and we don't want to use up all of them because we're going to have a final layer of noodles. I'm going to see, yeah, we'll do it that way this time. I think that might be a little cleaner approach than what we did last time. So do that. Boy, I'll tell you, that sauce smells really, really delicious. So, not to, you know, like toot my own horn or whatever, but that is some really good smelling stuff right there. Now, I do want to space it out a little bit. I think I'm getting a little too much on the one side over here. There we go. Get that spaced out about like that. Now we will add in another layer of mozzarella. That's a lot of mozzarella. We're going to layer that in there. Like that. And boy, that's looking very nice. And so I'm going to pretty much just do the same process again. We're going to go ahead and get it all set up here. A little something more like that maybe. Like the last time I was tearing the cheese, but I'm probably making it too complicated. Probably a little easier just to toss it on there like that. Now, remaining ricotta. And even though I'm sure you could probably make a recipe like this wrong, it seems like if you get more or less the right stuff in there, and more or less the right order, I think you'll be alright. Just saying. When it comes to delicious melted cheese and spaghetti sauce and peppers and garlic and things like that, can you really, well, you can do anything wrong, but it's probably hard to make it bad. Some may be better than others, but it's still hard to picture making it bad. Unless you just do something crazy like put cinnamon in it by accident. I once knew somebody who did that, and whatever that recipe was, a Mexican dish, I believe, that cinnamon was used in place of chili powder. Those kind of things don't work out. You cannot get away with that. That is not good. So, now we want to go back after we did this, put the rest of the Parmesan on top. You're probably starting to see a pattern here. Okay, got that all in there like that. I believe at this point we are ready to finish this up with another layer of noodles on top. Oh, what do you know? I got a broken one in there. But we broke one earlier and it was a non-issue, so that one will also be a non-issue. Put that on there like that. That on there like that. And what do you know? Looks like I kind of even have an extra noodle in there. I hate to waste anything. Maybe I should try to move those around a little like that. But then again, I don't want to overdo it either. So we'll go with that. Alright, and with that done, I had to dip into my last tiny bit of reserve of sauce to put on top of these. Like that. And then we'll cover that with some mozzarella, what we have left, which is almost none. But we have one package of mozzarella left. If I can find it in all the mess. We have one package of that left. Okay. We'll cover that up. It's going to have a lot of cheese on it. Okay. There we go. That is all ready to be cooked now. Alright. One thing we want to do before we cook it, cover it with some aluminum foil. I have some nice heavy duty stuff right there. I just ripped off a sheet. And cover that up like that. Alright. Perfect. Alright, we'll toss that in the oven like that. Let it cook for 45 minutes at 375. When we get it ready, I'll fire up the camera again and give you a look at what we made. Alright, get this out of the oven, got the whole mess cleaned up. I think we're ready to go, ready to try some of this stuff. After you take it out of the oven, you want to go ahead and let it set for 10 minutes. Kind of let the cheese cool a little bit, but it's still going to stick a bit to the foil. So, no avoiding that altogether, but you can get close. So there we go. Big, delicious handful of lasagna. So I'm ready to start cutting into that. Grab a piece on a plate and let you have a look at what it looks like. But that looks very, very delicious. Alright, there we go. Got it out on a plate. Spared you watching me dig that out of the pan. I'm going to go ahead and try a big bite of that and see if it's as delicious as it looks. It certainly smells delicious. Let's see. Nice and gooey. Tons of cheese on this. Very, very good. Cooked to perfection. So, I'm going to eat about half of that tonight, and I'll eat the other half tomorrow for breakfast. Can't beat some wonderful lasagna.